Good morning, I'm the Reverend Stephen Page from St. Patrick's Anglican Church. Our daily radio devotionals this month, sponsored by the Hudson Bay Ministerial, take our images from the world of sports. Now, the world of team sports is full of images, things like drawings and logos and letter combinations that represent and symbolize a team. Things like the warrior head on the Chicago Blackhawks chests of their sweaters, or the S among the grains of wheat for the Rough Riders. Hockey, however, has a unique canvas for artistic expression through images, and I'm thinking of the goalie masks. Almost every goalie in the league has a colorful and creative image on their mask, something that blends the team colors or logo with their own personalities or nicknames. They could be plain, or they could be something that blend in different things from their team or their selves, their history. And there's nothing quite like it in any other team sport, is there? I mean, in football, all the helmets look alike. All the hats in baseball, they look alike. But the hockey masks of the goalies, they're all individual. Jacques Plante is credited with pioneering the hockey goalie mask. All through the early days of hockey, goalies were generally, they played a stand-up style in general, and they wore no protective gear at all on their faces. The pucks were just as hard then as they are now, so standing in net to block the puck while wearing no protective mask took either a great deal of courage or great foolishness, depending, I guess, on your point of view. Well, one day, in November 1959, in a game against the New York Rangers, Montreal Canadiens goalie Jacques Plante took yet another shot off the face. The puck broke his nose, and he went to the dressing room for stitches. While there, Plante dug out his practice mask. See, Plante had been wearing a mask in practice for years, since 1956, but Canadiens coach Toe Blake would not allow it during a game. It was a crude mask. It was a homemade fiberglass mask. Google it if you'd like to get a look at what it looked like. Well, Coach Blake gave Plante a dirty look, but the goalie refused to go back on the ice without it. And for whatever reason, their backup goalie was not available that night, so Plante was the only choice, and he promised the coach that he would only wear the mask until his nose healed. But then, a funny thing happened. Montreal won that game. And the next, and the next. In fact, their unbeaten streak stretched to 18 games. This was a very good Canadiens team. They had won the previous 4 straight Stanley Cups, and this season they would win a record 5th straight. But even for them, this was a remarkable unbeaten stretch. When Coach Blake insisted that Plante not wear the mask, they lost 3-0 to Detroit. To no one's surprise, the mask came back for the next game and stayed ever after. A puck in the face was a very real concern for goalies back then. I think of Bruins goalie Jerry Cheevers, who famously added stitch marks to his mask every time a puck hit him in the face. He figured he would have needed stitches without the mask, so why not add them to the mask? And again, if you're not familiar with Jerry Cheevers' mask, you definitely need to Google it. The masks serve an important purpose. They protect the goalies from potentially serious injury. You know, sometimes we too wear masks. Maybe not a literal fiberglass covering for our faces, but we put on imaginary masks when we deal with other people. Maybe we want to hide who we really are. Maybe we want to hide what we're really like, what we really think. Masks help us disguise ourselves so that no one can see the real me. That can be a problem, can't it? But God is not fooled. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart, says 1 Samuel 16. Our God, who sees through our masks, our God knows our hearts. God sees who we really are. God wants us to be open and honest, and even vulnerable, with God for certain, with ourselves as well, and with each other. That's part of what it means to love our neighbors as ourselves. Being open, truly caring for them, carries risks. The risk of some pain, a metaphorical puck to the face. And that's partly why Jesus places so much emphasis on forgiveness. When we take off our masks, we might get hurt. But with God's help, and with the love and forgiveness of Christ in our hearts, we can share our lives with one another in the true and close fellowship that God has created us to have. For St. Patrick's Church, I'm the Reverend Stephen Page.